Welcome back. Hard Ears Podcast, where we bring the hard facts for the hard ears with the real vibes. I know y'all miss me. Just been a week, but got a new guest and got old guest with me from the last episode, Jafar and Mr. Edgel, Mr. John Edgel. How everybody doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
I'm great.
Jafar, from since the last episode going on, bro. How everything? What's been the latest?
I haven't been sleeping, but I did manage to take some leave, some time off of my busy schedule of work.
Yeah, I see it up on leave right now. I didn't know, transportational people, just get leave and what's
Yeah,
not,
yes,
so.
it'd be like that. I give some of my colleagues some work because I can't do it.
Can't do everything.
And they complain because the clients that I give them is clients that would need you around the clock 24/7. So they complain like, "Boy, there's a lot of driving. Oh, you just behave." So if they set up for one day, imagine me doing that for a whole entire year.
But that is one of your clients you canceled me last night. You canceled me last night, Jafar. I had a big walk for you.
I was tired. I couldn't make it.
All right, brother.
Yeah, bro.
All right. John, for those who don't know you, can you tell us a little about yourself and what you do outside of, maybe people might know you, seeing you with your father and everything and what's not. But outside of that, can you tell us a little about yourself?
Sure. So let me start with the things that I'm not, and that will help people to understand who I am.
Okay, no
So
problem.
for the persons who just see my last name, yes, I am related to the Minister of Public Works,
Yeah.
Bishop Edgel.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
my father. I usually tell crowds when I speak, yes, it's my father, but don't ask me for any contracts.
Yeah.
Because strictly speaking, he does his work. I have my own professional capacity that I hold. I do hold a senior public office. I am the head of the investment department at the Guyana Office for Investment. I used to be the director of business at the Ministry of Tourism, Industry and Commerce. So in 2023, I would have transitioned to the Office for Investment, and I'm currently the senior director of investment at Go Invest. So practically, I've been working a lot with the private sector in the last 5 years. Doing different stuff with different categories. Of course, before when I was at the ministry, I worked a lot with small and medium-sized and micro-sized enterprises. Of course, now with Go Invest, I work with those same categories, but also a lot of the larger businesses, the hoteliers, the persons in the agricultural sector, a lot of the persons doing manufacturing. And of course, it's a very exciting time to be in that particular role because the amount of interest that we have in this country is undeniable. Right? Everyone is looking at Guyana. Literally every single day we have a bunch of walk-ins, people just coming to get information. Because one of the first things an investor wants is to have access to information.
Yeah.
And every government entity, anyone will tell you that the first place you should go to when you're looking to do business in Guyana, you're looking to invest, is to come to Go Invest. So
Really?
we have our work cut out for us. In fact, you will know that this week is Building Expo. And one of the things that we're planning as part of the Building Expo, we did it last year where we had what we call a corporate cabana, where we had like some investor seminars, doing some small talks, where some of the corporate sponsors will be able to do pitches to their various audiences. We'll do one on construction and manufacturing. And we've done so last year. We're bringing it back this year and doing so at the Building Expo. So that's one of the other things that I'm currently planning in addition to some of the other work that I do. But some of the other things about me, I consider myself a Christian first. I'm a nationalist. So while I do have political affiliations, I believe that my number one prerogative is to the country, right? So if there is at any point in time where my political beliefs have to be chosen between the country's national interest and a political persuasion, I will always choose the country.
The country.
Right? So, and that's because God is number one. Country is number two. So I think God helps me in shaping my morality and in my decision making. I'm a youth leader in the church, and I consider myself a young leader in the country. I don't necessarily consider myself a youth leader for the country because I don't know necessarily that any young person looks at me and follows me as their role model or anything.
Yeah.
But I am one of the youngest persons who holds that office. I think I'm the youngest person to hold the office that I am currently holding. And previously,
How old are you?
I'm 28.
Okay.
So when I became the director of business, I was just 23. And of course, that led to a lot of criticism.
That's crazy. For
And-
5 years, so 23 to now, 5 years you've been the director of business.
So I was director of business, now I'm senior director of investment.
Okay.
All right, so
So, all right. So for layman terms, you could give me a little like insight of say a regular guy or anybody that come to go invest, like give them like a walk through like how it works and everything.
Sure. So there are two elements to the work that I essentially do. I like to say that our office deals with bringing investment into Guyana and taking the investments that we have in Guyana outside of Guyana. So we deal with investments and export. We're investment facilitation and an export promotion agency. So all of the hotels that we have now, we have about 12 international hotels under construction, and we have over 30 hotels under construction across the entire country, including a few in Linden. We have at least 3 in Region 2. I know of 2 in Region 1. So when I talk about the investments in Guyana, it's not just Georgetown, Region 3, where everything tends to be happening. We have what I call diversified, decentralized development, right? And that's part of the matrix that we have to push. So when people come and say, John, where could I invest in Guyana? Because a lot of people come back. We're migrants. We got people in the diaspora. We got a lot of people who just have excess wealth and they're looking at Guyana as this new oil player and how they could invest. So we say to them, we're building out these various things through the government, public sector investment profile, and how you can fit yourself into that. So I'll give you a practical example. In Region 6, right? Region 6, I believe in the next few years, and maybe some people should come back to this video in the next few years and see if I was right or wrong. But
that's Berbice, right?
In Berbice. So when you get over the bridge, there's an area called Palmyra.
I just crossed the bridge. I just came back.
Perfect. So Palmyra is where the Indian monument is, where you saw the Persons with Disability Development Center, where you saw that call center, and where you see, when you drive a little bit more heading to the bridge, you see the housing development, maybe on your left or right-hand side. Depends on where you're driving from. But Palmyra will become almost like Providence in Region 4. So I remember in 2007, Providence was basically nothing, no type of development, right? I had a friend living in Providence, and she didn't even have electricity. She used to have to use her generator and buy electricity almost all the time to put in
a rich friend.
Not even a rich friend. She's from Equitable. No, but she wasn't even rich. She was renting.
Okay.
And at the time, there was no type of homes next to her and all these things. You go in there, it's darkness. But that's about 2007 or so, right? Or 2009. It could have been a little later. But either way, in 2007, that's when Providence first got the stadium.
Correct.
But he was now going to do some housing development, and he had built the Princess, which is now Ramada. And we just had a whole bunch of housing land being distributed. I remember when we had Building Expo, that's when everybody was trying to put land into Providence. But Providence was basically nothing about 15 years ago, right? Granted, 15 or so years ago, Providence was nothing to talk about. Now in Providence, if you get a land in Providence, which was maybe 100,000 when you bought it,
you're lucky. $1 million or $2 million.
Which million?
It gotta be US dollars you're talking about. If you're trying to, land in Providence. You can't afford to pay for land in Providence. It's one of the most expensive areas in the entire country.
Yeah, you can't buy land.
Literally, people will tell you if they have a property on it, they can sell you that land. That's that property for $1 million US. And I have seen people.
Somebody gonna buy it.
And somebody will buy it.
That's crazy other part.
And
somebody will pay for it.
Indeed. But in Providence right now, we have the stadium still. We have Amazonia Mall. We got Qualfund that is built there. Texile is there. We have a new hotel that's going up there, which is Hyatt. The Hyatt place is going up there as well. But Providence is a hub for all types of investments. It's a hub for all types of development. Very similarly in Palmyra, the government demarcated that area for housing developments. We have Palmyra that is building the young professional homes for Berbice, right? Palmyra, like I mentioned just now, has the call center facility. It has a development center for persons with disability. It has that Indian monument there. But Palmyra, we have a whole bunch of land for commercial development. A hotel is going to be built there very soon. The same person who's building the Blue Bridge Hotel, which is the one next to Giflan, is going to be building a hotel.
That's a big hotel.
That will be the biggest hotel in the entire country. It's going to be 500 rooms.
500 rooms.
500 rooms. So they're building about 150 rooms in Berbice as well. But Palmyra will become, it's the same developmental skit because
they get in the stadium as well.
They get in the stadium as well. So that's what I'm getting to. The Palmyra multi-purpose stadium will create that type of impetus for development. Because it was just that stadium in 2007, we needed to get a stadium. The I think the Indian contractors, Indian government helped us with that stadium to get that stadium in time for cricket, for the World Cup. We never had a stadium like that before. We used to have stadiums that you had to get helicopters to come and do the drainage and all these type of madness. But now we have a world-class stadium. But we're doing that same type of developmental model with several parts of the country. In Region 2, building a world-class stadium there as well that will be able to host the women's CPL games, other games, international shows. And I told the people in Region 2 when I met with them a little while ago, you guys better go and get some promoters before HJ come and take over the entire community.
They're getting a stadium
They're
too.
getting a stadium there in
I saw
Region
that
2.
when I went to
And in Region 2, literally in Region 2, if you call Mainstay maybe now and ask them for a room for this weekend, they might tell you that they're booked out. Because Mainstay is almost always booked out, Jagabin is always booked out. And there are 3 hotels being built in Region 2 because of this level of development.
What's the main hotels in regions right now?
Jagabin has 2 hotels. There's Urban Oasis. There are a couple others, but some people will stay at Mainstay. The Mainstay.
I was not on Mainstay, by the way. Mainstay is for like the lower class people like myself. We can afford it.
Yeah, ask yourself.
Mainstay is one of the most beautiful resorts in this entire country.
This is my next visit. I'm trying to
it's
start
a must-do.
tour my own country now.
Yeah. It's a
because
must-do.
instead of going out to the country and I'm trying to tour my own because the country developing and it's getting more beautiful and what's not.
And more expensive too. It's getting more expensive. As in to enjoy those things. And I understand why the price is how it is. So I'm not knocking that. So what I'm saying is if you can get it now, go now.
No.
Because 5-10 years from now, certain things you wouldn't be able to do as a Guyanese, or you would, but you would compare it to going abroad like what they're doing now.
Yeah.
So I got a question.
Sure.
So okay, if you say so 5-10 years, they won't be able to. Why you don't think that? Why Guyanese don't encourage yourself to like work more harder and take the opportunities that the government is like providing for them, and so they could get to that level, so they could all experience. We know that okay.
I don't think, to be honest with you, I don't think they need to work harder. I'm just speaking to the price. The price will increase.
Yeah, we
because
know
the
that.
demand will get bigger. Guyana is probably still in its infant stage of this oil boom. And like John is telling you, there's a bunch of investors, and that will drive a whole foreign variety of
there'll be foreign
persons
demand.
here.
Yeah.
And because you're going to have persons coming from abroad, those persons who controlling those places that you want to go will raise the price because that demand will increase. So I'm saying we don't need to work harder to afford it. I'm saying right now we can afford it. Go, because it's like 100,000. I'm not saying literal. It's like 100,000 now. And summer we will cry, but we got the money. You don't want that 100,000 to turn 500,000 and be like, oh my God, it's so expensive to go. Best I go Panama. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. I don't think Guyanese need to work harder.
Yeah.
So if I can make a point here, I think some of the prices will come down while some of them will go up, right? And the reason I make this point is because a major reason why we have the increases in prices across the various things, we got the food escalation, which is the biggest one.
Yeah.
It's because we have so much more demand, but our supply has not been able to keep up with that demand, right? I can recall a few years ago when I was at the ministry. So while at the ministry, we used to deal with import-export licenses as well, right? As part of the Department of Commerce. We would only issue import licenses for poultry, depending on the demand and whether we had excess supply or so forth. Now you almost always have to issue those import licenses to allow a person to do so as a price stabilization mechanism, because sometimes our own local people don't have enough. And then we had so many diseases. We had the bird flu disease that affected the poultry and so forth. So if we don't have the investments now that could exponentially increase that supply, the prices will continue to go up. But things like hotel rooms, so for example, at one point in our history, maybe a year and a half ago, Marriott was selling rooms for over $1,000.
Yeah.
I was constantly booked out. Our Guyana Marriott was the most profitable Marriott on an average room rate basis, right? Meaning that the occupancy rate coupled with the price per room was the highest across the world, right? And that's because the only hotel we had in this country, well, to that level, that standard, is the Guyana Marriott, located in Kingston. But if you're going to have 12 international hotels, that's 2,000 plus rooms, right? And then you have another 30 other hotels being built all across the country. That will act as a price stabilization mechanism if the demand does not keep up to that pace, right? But obviously we're doing things to ensure that all these hotels that open could be successful, because you don't want to have the case now where persons invest in your country and then they're telling you, oh, no, you're nobody coming to these hotels. The government basically tricked them to come in, and then nothing is happening for them. But it's the same thing with agriculture. That's why we have these incentives, right? So if you come to, and again, goes back to our work, if you come to us and you say you have a project, you want to open a mega farm, I can talk about this one because it's publicly documented already, the Demerara Dairy Inc., right? This is a subsidiary company of Demerara Distillers Limited, which is DDL, right? They are doing the largest dairy
You're
farm.
not boycotting DDL?
Why would I be boycotting any company? I'm not a part of the boycotts. In fact, I would always advise young people to buy local stocks, right? And DDL is one of the 12 or 13 companies traded. So, and I think it's about $160 per share. So,
how do you get into stocks? Like, how you could, like, you go invest as a part of?
No, we're not a part of the stock market. But that's just an aside. And that's something I just generally advise people to do. If you can go to Trust Company Limited, they are the ones that trade stocks on behalf of Demerara Distillers Limited, and they might be able to tell you what's the trading price for this week and so forth.
Okay.
And how you can do so. But sometimes you see people just saying that they want to sell shares, and that's the way to do it at the preferential way, because the stock might be trading at $165, but they're trying to get a quick sale, so they might sell it for $160. So you save $5 on every stock that they're selling. So it end up being beneficial. But the point that I'm making is that we have to drive the investments. And this is the only way that we can actually help to solve some of this food inflation that we're getting. We have to be able to increase supply in such an exponential way that we have more supply than is needed than the demand. And that talks about things like eggs, and that's why we're doing the major investments in corn and soya, because corn and soya also goes into the poultry industry for feed. So we could be able to drive down costs even on the poultry side. And poultry is one of our major staples when it comes to Guyanese, right? Everything we eat in, you got to get a little meat, right? Jamaica actually has a very different profile than us because they have a large Rastafarian population. So a lot of them would not eat pork. Then they have some people who are just strictly vegetarian. So the actual demographic makeup of your country could affect your food inflation levels because you might have a lot of Hindus in Guyana, but many of them are only eating or not going to eat meat when it's things like no rank or their particular.
When is the fast or what's
when is the fast? But not, a lot of them are not strictly vegetarian Hindus, right? So if you had a lot of strictly vegetarian Hindus, then maybe the chicken prices would look a little different than it does right now. Or people like Jafar, who's a Muslim, maybe sometimes he eat pork. But you don't tell nobody.
Easy pork all the time.
Right?
Nah, I don't eat pork.
or them Rasta guys who you see in the line by KFC.
This man just come from KFC.
So we really need to be able to stretch our supply. Right?
Darwin, I don't really appreciate you making that information
public.
Yeah,
The man leave, right?
You know. And the man is supposed to say, all right, I apologize. I apologize.
I totally forgot about the
That's why I made it public, because it was already public.
He was going to boycott KFC. He was going to boycott KFC.
I never said I was going to boycott.
I'm buying from KFC.
I just remember that there's a boycott.
So you're now part of the boycott group though? Like any of the stuff that you boycott?
I don't know of the boycott group. I don't know of the I saw the message. I kind of understand why the brother is saying, he feels like he's targeted. And some people will react like that. You target me, I will target you. I think
if you was in that position, would you think that is the right way to go about you think you have that like power or that influence to tell people to boycott something like KFC?
Again, if I was in that position, I probably would have uttered the same thing. If you don't want my business, then it to me is common sense that me and the persons who are like me that seem to feel we are targeted, I feel is fair game to say, well, we wouldn't do business with you either. And that's just me in his position. Me as a private citizen, I wouldn't get in right or wrong or who I think. I just think like that position is extreme. And I think it's understanding as well. If the US is saying, based on these criteria, you are being sanctioned and your money is no longer acceptable into our system. So we got to take that money. It becomes like dirty money. We got to get the dirty money out of the system.
Right.
So if the US says that, all of the banks will follow suit because the banks operate under US economic world order.
Right.
This is the trade via SWIFT. This is public knowledge. This is not Jafar being intelligent. This is literally public knowledge. The banks use the SWIFT system. The SWIFT system is a US, I think, Belgium banking system, right? Knowing that, the banks will say, we can't do business with you and persons affiliated with you as well. So the banks will say, listen, we can't keep your money. That to me is fair. And that's not the banks targeting you. That is the bank saying...
Looking out for their own interest.
Not their own interest. If the bank keep you or your people money in their bank, knowing that some of the money could potentially come from you, it risks the entire operation. Now should GBTI have to build in a portfolio for about 50, 60, 70, how much odd years? Risk that cause of one individual? That to me doesn't make sense. And then you're gonna ask me, a Guyanese, and again, I don't knock nobody, you know, I just talk it as it is. Me as a private citizen, seeing as like, what? No more KFC. You see me start off. That's tight. I mean, every time with DDL, I don't really drink aerated drink and alcohol and everything.
You know how many things DDL that's produced? You probably don't even know sometimes.
No,
you pick
I
up
agree
something.
with you. I agree with you. However, you could get me if you say boycott DDL.
Right, you can
I could see myself subconsciously living in a boycott DDL mode because I don't even DDL like
you gonna say, yo,
bro,
I don't boycotting them anyway.
If you see the kind of things I consume, you would say, okay, I could see where you say it's possible he'd boycotting DDL.
Yeah.
KFC though. Have you had KFC, bro?
I don't think he had it, or he had it in a long time.
Listen,
there's a statement mechanism.
It's not just me. I swear I'm not speaking for me. To tell Guyanese, don't go to KFC. Oh my God. Right. Some people can't even eat churches because, and this is not knocking churches. Churches really
the reaction.
I honestly believe something is not okay because they are.
I don't eat it.
Some persons, if they eat churches, the will get an action right away.
I've heard that a lot.
So seeing so you talking like 5,000 people now got to move from churches to KFC. So now you tell them no KFC. They're like, what?
They got to move to quick serve.
Where the hell are they going quick serve?
Yo, but quick serve big in Barbies, you know. Quick serve is like, I go to Barbies.
They'd be jamming in Barbies.
Good. Quick serve, you know there's no KFC in Barbies? The first thing I go to Barbies is like, yo, I gotta get KFC.
They got no KFC.
You want to tell me there's no KFC in Barbies?
I was going to move to Barbies.
They got Big B's, they got quick serve, and they got churches. I said no churches.
Quick serve?
Yeah. Quick serve is a major commodity.
Quick
serve. There's a big thing in Barbies. And the quick serve in Barbies, it nice. It's nice, it's like
when you want to use the bathroom,
I am
people
not
say going quick serve.
I am not.
You remember quick serve when you used to up on Camp Street where Citizens Bank there now?
Correct.
When you smart, there's all the quick serve there in there. Nice.
I am not buying
clean. It's clean.
It's clean and nice.
Clean.
I would buy chicken from there.
Alhamdulillah, brother. Alhamdulillah.
Boom. From I stop the episode, just a big shout out to BK Security. Anytime you need to feel safe, you need all your personal securities for your events, for all, to go anywhere in this country, even abroad, you need to check out BK Security. They got all the biggest, the strongest. What's to say about BK Security? Check them out to ensure your safety. BK Security. But nobody in boycott. I know personally.
And again,
he does that sneaking around.
Again, I think it's fair game. Like I said, if I was put in his position, feeling how I feeling how he's feeling, you would have gotten me to say the exact same thing. Nothing different I would have said. You don't want my business, I don't want your business.
Yeah.
However, as a guy,
I know I came on the show as a guest, but let me ask a question.
Yeah.
Do you believe that his intention to run was a saving mechanism, or that he actually has the desire to help people?
Again, I'm Muslim, and I cannot, in my capacity, speak to nobody's intention.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't get into what's his intention. I don't think it's, the rhetoric is there. I wouldn't knock him for it. It's very difficult to persuade me to see through his lens. Because, like I said, a few years ago, the very same people he seems to chastise now were his
Same.
personal friends. And sometimes who even knows behind the back what's playing out. So, again, I wouldn't knock the intentions because I don't know. So, but it's just hard
Do
for
you
me to
think,
see.
all right, now his intentions, you can't, like you said, now his intentions, you can't tell what his intentions could be, right? It's not easy to persuade you, but like, can you perceive like what, like, can you, you could just sense some kind of sense. All right, if this man gets in power, do you think, okay, it's just an image or just a facade, or is you think he's gonna like do some kind of good? Or what's not?
I think to be quite honest with you, I don't judge a leader based on just themselves. I think I've repeated this many times. A leader is as good as those he surrounds himself with. Right? You could be very horrible. You have a very good team around you. You could be not presidential and end up being a very good president. Ukraine president is a very good example of that. Volodymyr Zelensky was a comedian who was ranting one time, and somebody took a phone, video it, and
he blew
just post it, and then the whole country said, put a man as president. That's literally how it happened. They made a Netflix series out of it as well.
Right.
So, and then he didn't turn out to be a bad president. So you can get things like that. I don't necessarily think he would be bad or good for the country. I don't know what he will do in the future. I think nobody knows exactly what he will or wouldn't do as president. They can tell you anything. Granger promised us a bunch of stuff. You know what I mean? And a lot of young folks felt it. You know, so, and this is not knocking, again, I don't try to knock anybody, just give you as it is.
Right.
So people can tell you anything. It's only until they actually see the power. And then whether they choose to do or not is a completely different conversation. So,
all right. John, growing up around, well, not just John, you. Well, first he could answer and then you could answer. Growing up around politics, what's our one thing you've noticed about the public sector operates compared to the private sector?
That's I think, a very easy question. A lot of it has to do with efficiency, right? And it's because of how both systems are set up. Right, and I told you that I work a lot with businesses, and a lot of them tell me that I don't operate like I work in the public sector, right? And that's because of the commitment that I put in, the time that I put in, and just the general interest in getting things done, right? I told you before that I see myself as a nationalist, right? I want to serve my country, and in order for me sometimes to be able to bring some type of betterment, you got to put in some extra hours, right? So I can recall, and again, this is not necessarily knocking the last administration, but one of the things that we did a lot of in the last 2 years was to open up all the call centers that were closed or they didn't have in existence before. So we had a call center building that was built years ago since under Irfan. I think he was the Minister of Housing at the time. So we had a call center building there. We had one in Enmore. We had one in Region 10. And then...
That was Qualifon. Qualifon, is that what?
No, not Qualifon. This is just a building that the government built and for an investor to come in and employ people.
Okay.
Right? Under the last administration, all those buildings were basically just catching dust. And they were shuttered, electricity, paying security sometimes, damages. You know, if you leave a building closed for a long time, what's happened, right?
Yeah.
All type of damages happen.
Irritate and all that stuff.
But the difference is between the two structures. A government should want to ideally, right, and this is the political structure, should ideally want to do things to improve the lives of the people so that the people will be happy with this government and ultimately re-elect this administration.
Yeah.
Right? It's a means to an end. However, the people that are in the public sector, they don't necessarily have that prerogative to put their best effort every day. Because when they come to work, whether or not they take a 3-day, right? And we said 3-day because some people it's count the amount of sick leave that they could take for the year. And they just calculate when they can take the 3-day and all these things. I can tell you this without fear of contradiction. I haven't taken a sick day in years. I don't even take leave sometimes, right? Sometimes I take leave just for my girlfriend's birthday or for something very important, or if I have something else or something else important that I have to do, right? So I might be taking leave, not even for relaxation. It's for to do something else outside of my everyday work. But if you're in the private sector, the minute you don't do your work properly, that could be your last day on the job.
Yep.
But in order for you to fire somebody in the public system, you gotta write the person a letter, get them a next letter, warning,
investigation gotta happen
3
and
warnings.
Yeah.
Then, so it's not very motivating, right? So the systems of efficiency are very, very different. But that's why the elections, that's why the elections are actually very important. Because if people say all the time that, oh, it don't matter, this is our way, come on, work.
Yeah.
But the leadership that is there, a major part of their work is being able to catapult people, those ordinary public servants who might want to take a 3-day or don't want pushing the work and those types of things, to work beyond the call of duty, to ensure that the benefits that all of those entities, the 20-something plus ministries we got and all these subvention agencies and everything else, do their work to a particular level so that people could benefit.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the costs that the government ministers get, and I ain't saying this because my father is one, is because of the work that technical public servants are supposed to be doing. It's not supposed to be that every road a minister got to check, or the water that just damaged, that just damaged, you got to call a minister to fix that. You know how many levels of bureaucracy exist in the public system? That a man might actually see it on Facebook and see responsibility, you know, but nobody ain't calling his name. No, people probably don't even know his name. So he gets to hide from the public chastisement and everything else. So he nonchalant until he boss get the embarrassment and then go call he and they go jog in he. And still no jog can reach to he in the public domain yet. But they're gonna say Susan and Kroll giving me Mobby water. Right? So the way how, and I wish we could start to develop the public sector. This is one of the things that I'd love to see, right? In such a way that we can mirror the efficiency, the level of efficiency. And maybe it's hard to do because if you could easily fire people, then you get the next thing is political victimization, right? Where people can say, oh, you just knock me off because I don't support your party. But maybe you're just very inefficient in your job. You don't actually contribute to the development of the country.
There's also the reverse to that, where you hire someone because of political affiliation, and then that's not necessarily the best managers. Well, and we see that play out even at a ministerial role. So, you know, you get things like that happening in the public sector too. And like John said, I think that's mainly the difference between the public and the private sector. It's just efficiency. And then Guyana got a bunch of red tapes. You know, Guyana is, part of it is a lot of paperwork. But then it's just, like you say, the boss will take in the lash, ain't ever responsible for something. Sometimes little stupid Darwin. You know what I mean? And Darwin never get done. And then Darwin now start act, get the work done. Then the girl can post, Darwin come and help me and I want to say thanks to Darwin. And then the minister will just
every
because
day hands that wears the crown.
You know what I mean?
Every day that wears the crown.
That's true. The
leaders are always get the blaze why is always there's also people that working in the public sector, the people that working in 9 to 5 is always get it easy.
Right.
The boss them and the people that the young entrepreneurs is very tough out there for them because you know.
So let me make this point. I say this without again any fear of anybody criticizing when they read this or listen to this or whatever. I am a political appointee, right? That's something that I know. But I know that I'm a technical political appointee. When I was appointed director of business at 23, I already had a master's. Right? So it's not like I come with nothing no educational background. I was already working at the Audit Office of Guyana, audited several agencies. I understood government very well. I was awarded in 2019 for outstanding contribution to financial audits by the Audit Office of Guyana, which is what they call the Best Worker Award, right? So I knew my role and my level of competence. So when I was appointed, I knew how to assimilate myself and very quickly knew that the criticism could very easily be there for me because I got a last name that got easy for criticize, right? And I got a face that's easy to criticize. And I know that the impact that I wanted to make. So the person that held my position before me, most of you know him, is Minister Gaskin, right? So after Minister Gaskin did not want to give up his dual citizenship, he became the Director of Business. So that's actually how the Director of Business role was created.
Okay. Yes, correct.
Right? So that's how that office was created. But when his office was created, there wasn't actually any fixed office. It was an office for him to be able to continue to be on the government payroll still. It is until I was birthed in the ministry that the office was actually created and a functional responsibility and so forth. So, I mean, you get the criticism, and this is the real point I want to make. Should Irfan Ali not be re-elected? The president, right? Which is, in my view, a very slim possibility. I am of the firm belief that he will be re-elected. I actually believe that he will gain more seats, right? From my own projections and from the conversations I've had, obviously I've been on the ground, and from a lot of the work that he has done, and from a lot of the young people that have now going to be the first-time voters, I believe that he will be able to capture most of the first-time voters, in addition to a lot of the crossover votes, in addition to the non-existence of the AFC, and the weakening of the APNU, and it's split into ALP, FGM, and
Forward Guyana.
Yes, Forward Guyana movement. So if he is not re-elected, again, and that very
Big if.
small caveat, on the 2nd of September, I would resign my post. And I believe that that's the honorable thing to do as a political appointee, who, even though I'm a technical person in the Office of Investment, now I have a second master's and a project management professional certification. So I'm very clearly qualified to do what I'm doing. But my philosophy is that I know that I am advancing the work of the President Ali-led administration. This is in great contrast to what we saw in 2020, where some persons actually altered their contracts to show that if they were to get knocked off, the administration had to pay them for a full 3 years. Right? That's what some people did. During that 5-month period that we were waiting to get results, some persons made amendments to their contracts. So that when the government come in and they know they got to get knocked off, the government got to pay them for 3 years because of how they structure their contract, if they were to be knocked off. But I'm saying to you, if he's not re-elected, I know that I know that I can get a job based on my qualifications. I know that I can go and do a lot of other things with my life.
You don't get to where you have half links.
No.
You go through the...
And let me tell you something. When I was asked to be the Senior Director of Investment and head the investment department at Go Invest, my father didn't know. I the one to call my father. So it's not that nobody called my father or my father called nobody and asked them for something and this thing.
And I set up a link.
I am the one that get the call, went and met with the senior person, and then I communicated this to my family that I was contemplating this role, because I was very happy when I left the ministry and I had some vacation time for the first time in years and everything else to go on to other things. In fact, a lot of what we just talked about with the inefficiency in the public sector is one of the things that irked me, because I hate, you putting in all this effort and a man,
everybody else dragging.
And a man dragging your foot.
Everybody else dragging.
And when the thing pull off, everybody taking the credit with you.
Yeah.
So I got a question for you, Jafar.
Correct.
What was one thing you would change, you think that could change to make the public sector more efficient for regular citizens? Since we know that it's like inefficient.
We got to move away from people. We have to move away from people. If I deposit a check in check is basically private because it's banks. But I go to GRE. Somebody pay credentials that GRE issue you with, they are not accepting. So I go and I gotta show them ID and they don't want. And me, driver's license cannot be used for ID and my proof of address.
Yeah.
And the ID got me address, got me identification details, plus my TIN number. Which to get your TIN number, you have to provide a proof of address. So, and that's just, we are only at GRA. I am not beginning to tell you about NIS.
No, we can go. I want to talk about
you know what I mean? So to me, one of the primary issues that I have with Guyana in the whole, they want a paper for every single, passport office told me they need X amount of picture and some other thing. I go to passport office and they literally took passport size pictures for me in passport office. Why am I walking with passport size pictures?
I can recall when I was doing my renewal, I asked the same question.
I asked the same question.
And then
I have to do it for me that
and to be quite honest with you, I don't have a problem presenting the passport size picture. To wait in passport office to get into the booth to take that picture is a bunch of times that you can't get back. So I would remove every single paper. The paperwork is it pains, bro. It pains and almost.
So why I think we still using the paper?
So some of it is written into actual regulations, right? Where you have to. So for things like procurement, you still got to publish things in newspaper, and these things are written in. We had to change for the building permits. The other day, had to change the legislation, amend it. Because a lot of these things are backed by laws, right? That's how they are effectuated. And all of our laws are written for publishing and printing and all these things. So you got to change the legislation at the same pace that you can change. And then you have to ensure that you're not compromising the systems as well. But I agree with what Jafar said, but I would go a step further. The technologies that we are employing have to be able to be free from human intervention, right? So a lot of conversations we have in Guyana is about corruption, right? People now don't use a ledger. They use an Excel sheet. Maybe, let me talk about GGMC or somebody that you got to submit a land document to, right? So let me use GGMC as an example. If you want to get a mining permit to get a concession, you got to go to GGMC. And they say that they'll allocate on first come, first serve basis. So when they get your submission, you might give them a file or submit an email. They will enter that into maybe an Excel spreadsheet, right? There it says number 1, 2, 3, Darwin first, Jafar second, John third. But if I go and give the man that entering the Excel sheet a little money, he could easily cut me name and put it to number 1. So you got to get technology that is also free from human intervention. So when they go into the system, it integrates directly. You get a timestamp.
And the money, nothing can do nothing about it.
The only thing you could do is pray that the other two ain't want it no more.
And then also is like there's so much things that need to be done because we might change the paper system, we might have the technology, we don't have the persons competent enough to man those. You see simple things like Excel. I kid you not. People will have the works cut out for them. If
we need to integrate that into the school system. Like those are the things we need to focus on.
And IT.
But there's the things we need to focus on instead.
Here's my issue with education and those kind of subjects. It's too late for me to do EDPM and IT in Farm 4. So that has to change. And then the foreign language, I could never understand why Guyana is on a continent where we're the only English-speaking country and a foreign language is not mandatory. I've not that I've been places, but I got a bunch of friends from crazy countries. And these people speak 4 or 5 languages comfortably, bro. You know what I mean? I got a friend from Turkey that speaks Persian. Turkey get their own form of Arabic as well. They speak English, French, Spanish, Portuguese. And you're between there like
right.
Pagali.
I know that's one of the things the president
no disrespect,
indicated that he'll do. That Spanish will be integrated in the
it needs to be integrated early on IT and EDPM.
It has to be mandatory. So it's not just that you're doing it because I did Spanish at the University of Guyana. I aced it. You know what I mean? I don't speak Spanish fluently, but I aced it. But my point is, the level of Spanish we did at the university, and this is not knocking anybody, it's basically beginner Spanish.
Right.
Anybody, even at Prepe, you know, como estas. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
You know, I use Rojo.
Yeah, so you have things like that, you know. So like those are things that, like, we have to move away from those systems, and then we have to ensure that our population is competent enough. Because your human resources is the greatest resource you're gonna have. You know what I mean? And now you have robots taking all these jobs. So imagine, and Guyana is not existing independently of an entire world. AI is now upon us. So by the time we even catch ourselves, we're way behind the game ball. Some people will be left without a job because they don't know simple things too.
I agree.
All right. Do you believe democracy works better when we respect different views or when we try to silence them?
I think this one is I would get removed from the country if I say the latter. But I strongly believe that I believe that the best answer, and I've been doing it a lot on my own social media, I believe that the best answer even to fake news, right? Because this question, a lot of the views that people expose, they're not even legitimate or real views that they're putting out there. A lot of things that are published now, especially on Facebook, social media, a lot of it is filled with narratives that are created from I don't know where. But I believe that the best response to that is to just put more truth out there, right? There is a saying that a lie will run a mile while the truth is still putting on its shoes.
Yeah.
Right? And that's because of how easy people just like to fetch around drama. Right now on social media, we might have our phones down and the whole Facebook might be blowing up because of something else that was put out there. Right? So I saw a couple days ago one of our journalists publishing something about OFAC sanctions. Right? And I had cause to go on my Facebook and to publish some things that were the truth. So the journalist was attempting to say that the government don't want to work with an OFAC sanctioned individual in the form of Mohammed, but has contracted an OFAC sanctioned company in the form of China Railway Corporation to build the Demerara Harbor Bridge, the new Demerara River Bridge, I should say. Right?
And a few other projects.
And a few other projects, right? So the journalist did not go on to state that there are differences between a specially designated national and a non-specially designated national, right? And Mohammed, of course, is the former. He's a SDN for short, and he was targeted because of public corruption, gold smuggling, and several other things that the government of the United States, through the Treasury, Department of Treasury, targeted him, a government official, his family, and their affiliated companies. The latter, the non-SDN list, which also includes CNOOC, and I don't think a lot of people know this, CNOOC is 1/3 of the consortium with ExxonMobil Guyana. So there's Exxon, Hess Corporation, and CNOOC, right? So are we saying as well that we should not be receiving any of the oil monies because CNOOC is a part of that arrangement as well? But CNOOC is also a non-SDN. But there are different implications for being on the SDN, which is, like Jafar mentioned before, the financial implications.
The money got to be circulated in the U.S.
Exactly.
cycle.
Right. So if you're a non-SDN company, the U.S. is basically saying that they believe that you are linked to the Chinese industrial military complex, right? So they don't want any U.S. company to invest in those ventures, right? It doesn't preclude you from a government of Guyana from doing business with them. In fact, when the government of Guyana contracted the bridge, it was done not even in US dollars. It was done in euros, right? So the Bank of China, the government of Guyana did a loan with the Bank of China, and it was done for 160 million euros. The remainder of those funds are being financed through our national budgets. So it's not even the case that now we're utilizing US dollars to pay this company. So we understood already what needed to be done. And our finance minister, I don't think anybody could say that he is not very suave in what he does. He understands these particular things. The Minister of Finance is a chartered financial accountant, and he is one of the most experienced people in public life as it relates to public sector accountability and so forth. And nobody could deny that, right? If you're denying that Minister Ashley Singh is not one of the greatest economic minds of our generation, then you're just gaffing politics. You don't.
You're
really
not even gaffing politics.
That's just one of the mistruths as well, right? So I went on my Facebook, and sometimes I decide not to, or sometimes I do, right? But when I have the information, I like to share the information. I felt like a lot of persons, especially supporters of the government, felt as though, the government is just doing what they want as well, right? And I believe that's sometimes why that narrative was advanced. So I went on Facebook and I published. I didn't even name the journalist or anything and say that I'm doing anything. I just explained what is SDN, the specially designated national, and what is non-SDN, and what are the implications for both. And I also shared a link to the loan agreement that was done for the new Demerara River Bridge. But my messaging could maybe reach, let's say, 1,000 people. The fake news narrative will reach 200,000 people. But we have to live in a democracy where people are allowed to post narratives of the sort. But it becomes part of our country's dynamic. The only thing you can do is to put out other information out there. I will never say let us censor a particular person like that. But what I will hope is that when people realize that after a while you have a particular agenda, people could read your particular news with understanding that you have an agenda, or could want to question you the next time to say that, okay, you might be publishing fake news because you have your particular agenda.
And to the question, Darwin, I think one contradicts the other in terms of a democracy is about open debate, is about listening to different views.
Right.
In its raw sense, democratic government is a government by the people, for the people. What's the next one? I forget. Democracy is for the people and by the people. So it's literally the people, and then we live in a representative democracy. So it's you voting for somebody to represent your interest. Democracy cannot exist in a place where persons are censored. That's why you see Russia isn't democratic. That's why you see the People's Republic of China isn't democratic in the sense of you cannot freely express a dissenting view, right? And I think one of the key components of democratic principle is dissent.
Yes.
I cannot always agree with you, but it doesn't mean my disagreement with you means by some way or the other we are enemy. We all want the best for the country. And I think this is where persons in Guyana finds it very difficult to understand how the guys in the house are very good friends outside of the house, and the house being parliament. It's because in parliament we are representing the interests of this country, and of course all of us wouldn't share the same experience. We wouldn't share the same goal, the same means to get to the goal, which is to the betterment of the country. The means to get in there might be different. So we're gonna argue why what you're doing is counterproductive to what we want to do. But it doesn't mean because we have differing view, it means we should be made enemy. You know, and democracy is basically about that. It's about sharing your thoughts and your ideas, whether you agree or not.
It should be a war on opinions, right? And whoever has the...
Well, I don't necessarily go with opinion because like I always tell people, opinions, and that's something we gotta understand. Everybody got an opinion. However, when confronted with facts, the opinion has to be built on a foundation that allows it to change when facts are presented.
Right, but you're hoping to have a very mature society.
No, again, this is the very foundation of opinion-based conversation. If your opinion is met with pure facts, then you cannot be the same Jafar that entered the conversation. You can't tell me LeBron James is a GOAT. I can present a bunch of facts to you to show you why Michael Jordan is a thing. And then you're going to agree, okay, you got a point, you beat me. Michael Jordan is the GOAT. But then after the conversation, you still think LeBron is the GOAT. It doesn't work like that. It has to change.
Right.
So,
yeah, but I think a lot of people just have their own preconceived
Yeah,
notions.
yeah.
Right?
But the thing is, it's very difficult for me to I don't understand why is it that like the episode I do with Marlon.
yeah.
Marlon put up a cup, red cup, whatever the case might be. And it was a whole thing. People reaching out to me. It's like, oh, black people this and this, decent. Why y'all voting for this party and whatever the case might be. No, me personally, whoever wants to vote. Because at the end of the day, it's one where you want betterment of the country, betterment of the people. Now, when I ask these like the people that criticize it, chastising or whatever the case might be, because I just be curious. My mind is curious. I like to learn and what's not. Why is it that you don't want the fellow man to vote for this party or what's not? One answer in here all the time is It's either race.
It's a racist party.
It's a racist party or the pass. That's the only thing. The pass or the racist party.
Again, so my pushback to that would be, I don't necessarily agree with some of the pushback, but I do sympathize with some people. I'll give you a very real example. Some of us are really facing hell, regardless of which government, but some governments go to the extent to give us hell in this country for those very same reasons that you think like you might say, oh, race might be a bad way to vote, but some of us suffer because the party in power is not the same race as us. Some people go to the extent to call your employee in a meeting and say, look, this man walking out to your office, and if you really want to be in our favor, you got to do something about it. That's like a real experience I've had. So we are having real experiences. So when somebody, like for example, a Marlon says, I am pro-cop, that is not necessarily an issue. However, it's not an issue, not necessarily. It's not an issue. However, the persons that will come at you are having real experiences where, because we are skin color like Marlon, but we just don't have the clout like Marlon, it's okay to punish or silence us. So like I was having a conversation with a girl from up the East Coast. She said Jafar would never vote for PPP. Now, I personally don't like to have conversations with persons who say they will never change a position because, like I said, your opinion could change once facts are presented.
Yeah.
She said, Jafar, my brother was gunned down somewhere between 2001 to 2004. You know those times,
That's
right?
correct.
And these people were in charge of an apparatus, and it was by their apparatus my brother innocently got killed. There was no compensation for him.
Sure.
He had his whole life. He was fending for our family. Now we got to struggle to even survive in this place and get big. So again, there are real persons that are having these experiences. You can't just put a bandage over that, and you cannot expect, again, them to feel like, okay, this didn't happen, because it really did happen. So, and I'm not saying this happened for a large section of people. I'm just saying some of us have real experiences with these things.
Right. And
now, those people I empathize with. But if I ask you, but the people know that just want to follow the multitude and
there's a different...
There is a high level of groupthink. There is a high level of groupthink, right?
Yeah, when I ask these individuals, why is the reason? They can't give me a good reason.
No, a lot of people don't give personal reasons as to why they can't, right? And I do believe that I agree with Jafar to some extent, right? There are some persons who either real or perceived issues, and I also believe that a government, especially one that is has been very successful as a PPP in winning elections, right? 23 years, another 5 years just completed. You will find that there are individuals within the government who don't necessarily act in the way that the leadership would even approve of, right? And those same persons could make people become antithetical and anti-PPP, right? So they're individuals, and as far as I'm aware, right, and this is utterances from the vice president himself, who's the general secretary of the party. If those instances are being made aware to him, the vice president has been the person who has orchestrated the move to actually go after the Afro-Guyanese vote, right? And he said this without hesitation a few years ago. Jafar, I'm sure you could recall when he mentioned that he sees that that's one of the things that he needs to do. Embrace Afro-Guyanese much more, right? And he's met with, I've seen him meet with the BEA before, that's the Black Entrepreneurs Association.
Yeah.
He's met with several Afro-Guyanese groups,
Yeah,
individuals.
I did meet with him.
Perfect. So I know that he has opened up his own personal political office to meeting with a lot of aggrieved people. And I can tell you that I've seen in action cases where people have brought those things to his attention and he has dealt with it in front of them, putting phone on speaker and these types of things, right? And I use the vice president because this is who people is called the boss of the party and so forth, right? He's the general secretary. So he sort of sets the tone when it comes to leadership. So of course there are instances where people, because I can tell you, I might have a bad interaction with someone and they might say that's how the PPPs behave, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not even a member of the People's Progressive Party, right? I am a known associate because my father is a minister of government.
Yeah.
But they might see me or I might be having a bad day and don't answer my phone. I can tell you, if I go on my phone right now and check the amount of messages I got, right? I'll do so right now.
I cannot relate.
You can't relate? Most people just reach
I
out
have,
to you right
I have
now.
350, 6 messages, 6 just came in, and 90 in my archive. So that's about 440 messages that I have not completely
Wow.
read, right? So if someone is there who might have asked me for something and I haven't responded to them,
Yeah.
they might feel that, oh, it's because they black or something. I don't even know necessarily who's the person, but that's why sometimes I post on my WhatsApp, call me, or resend a message or something of the sort. Because it's impossible when I'm working whole day to be checking my phone all the time and then always respond back to people. But if you call me, I could
It's not a very efficient.
The
worker.
VB said out, people think that he's not accessible, but he is accessible. But the man said, earlier you could do. The man said, by the time, just like how she pulled out the phone and show, he get twice as much. So he said, you could just midnight or 11 days when he time down and wind down, and days when you could check all the messages, and maybe days when your message could come into the time slot.
But I tell people if it's very important, call me. Because even when I'm driving, I can answer a call, but I don't text and drive. I
don't believe the vice president when he say he really don't be checking his phone. I'll tell you.
No, you never.
No, like we get all them unread message. I don't believe the vice president got what he got Guyana. My wife had a real issue that she needed sorted out, and the only person could have sorted it out was the vice president. She shot him a message. He replied. So this was I'm saying, like, I don't believe he's one of those who he can choose a specific time to respond or he wouldn't respond.
No, he says better.
It's
better.
But
It's
there
better.
are some times that I on my phone, and if you shoot me the message, then I can answer.
No.
Exactly. This we said, because you might shoot the message during the day while you're using the phone, and like 100 messages might come through, or 50 or whatever the case might be. And your message might come down to the bottom. See what he's saying? Just re-message at the certain time. So he could go back and he could check it on.
My
WhatsApp.
wife had a very pressing issue that needed sorted out like ASAP. And somebody said, message the vice president. They sent us his number. We hit you up. It's like, yo, just got to sort out because XYZ happening, mom. You read it, you call right away. My wife answers. She can't ever believe. It was something like a secretary. This is vice president on the phone.
This number?
And this is vice president of the country.
Yeah.
Some people will argue the most powerful man in the country.
Yeah.
So he's like, I saw your message. What's the issue? She told him the issue. He said, all right, this is what I'm going to do, mom. We're fasting. This is Ramadan. Next day he calls about 3 times. Phone rings out. We breaking fast, praying. She never going to see the phone. Called about 3 times, missed call. She saw the missed call, call him back. He's like, okay, hang up, I'm going to call back. Hang up, he call back. He's like, okay, so the issue is dealt with. I've already spoken to Miss Parag. She's changing ministry right now. Think she was going into Darmlal's role.
Local government.
So he said, but she's right now the minister in charge of that. So tomorrow she's going to call you. This is sorted. Don't stress yourself out. Again, this is a very pressing issue, as you can imagine, because it's not just the vice president. He's now telling you the minister We'll deal with it. The minister's like, call my wife. My wife went to the agency. They had a whole issue with getting her the required. The vice president already said this is what's going to happen. The minister done said this is what's going to happen. And like you said, people will get bad things just based on which level you deal with. Got to the ministry and they is giving you a counter move to what was already instructed. My wife was like, no. The minister said this. The vice president said this. Ain't no way you could say otherwise.
Yeah, veto.
So that was a whole
what
thing.
people want to get power at any level.
You know, exactly. That's exactly what I told her. Anyway, the situation sorted out. So I'm saying, like, to me, I would find it hard for Barrett to tell me that, you know, like, he is not really on his phone dealing with issues. Just to see how because like we were in contact with him for days. Yeah. So for see him like, he's like, no, this gotta sort, this gotta, and then it ended up sorting itself out. I'm like, so now so I'm saying like, I would glad to see Barrett 4 with all of these messages that aren't read.
He was just encouraging the young people. Like
I could tell you that there are situations people message me and I deal with it urgently. But there's sometimes people just shoot me a message and say things like, hey, why don't you do it, hey?
Yeah.
Why don't do it, hey?
I say that.
I don't even have the number, you know. It's like a D5.
Okay, yeah.
360.
Or one of these emojis.
I tell people, yo, if message me hey with the point, get straight to the point. Don't just message me hey. Cause why you supposed to do it hey?
I told my brother in New York, in Connecticut, of the exact. I said, bro, your perception and the reality to me is misconstrued a lot because this is an experience I'm giving to you that really happened. I mean, you don't gotta like the players. You know, I don't really think I got an affection to anybody, really. I say you don't really gotta like them or you don't really gotta hate them, but to me it's hard for you to not acknowledge this as a truth when you literally saw it play out in real time.
Right.
You know, I said, bro, some of these men, if you really got an issue and you go to them, man, just go past the whole bureaucracy.
Yeah.
Just go straight to them, man, and tell them, man.
I'm going to mention something quickly on this podcast that many Guyanese people don't know. Right? And I'm going to throw a little bit of jab at Mr. Mohammed. The president, every time he does one of those outreaches, right? When he going to do a walk in the market or something of the sort, you always see him with people behind him writing down.
Correct.
Or you're going to send people to them. There's an actual database that information goes to. Staff at the office of the president. This is an online database, closed circuit for government ministry.
Correct.
There's a person assigned to each ministry that has to deal with all of the president's issues that are told to him. But that's not the kicker. Every 2 weeks, there's a meeting at 5:30 a.m. that I have to attend. And several senior government officials have to attend, including some permanent secretaries, to ensure that they deal with all the issues that somebody went and complained to the president. So there is a system in place. It's not just Miles going walking around asking people, oh, what happened here, what thing here. There's a system in place for dealing with these things. Sometimes the system has to take a while because somebody come and tell you, oh, he got flooding or he road bad. You can't fix a road the next day. Sometimes you got to get a contract mobilized. You got to send an engineer for see what's going on and everything else. But there is a system in place. And the job I have to throw is that there was one time I saw a video with Mr. Mohammed, a lady saying, well, I got to put my name, forget this house. And Mr. Mohammed tell the lady, the person there behind. And the lady kept on walking looking for this person, but there was no person that was taking any names or anything of the sort. Right? So he has started to do this very same mechanism that the president does where he walks and asks people the issues. But there's a difference in hearing people's concerns and having a resolution mechanism in place. Right? Of course, Mr. Mohammed could utilize his own finances sometimes, and he does a very good PR campaign of giving people a home and handing it over and doing stuff and asking them to say a few words, and they can criticize the government. That's fair game. But when you have a government system that has to work, a procurement system that has to work, you can't just go doling out and giving people everything that they want, because a man can tell you every day that he got to get something. Right? But there is a system, and many people not even aware that every 2 weeks they got this meeting, but during those 2 weeks, there got to be doing work to update that same thing, to indicate to the president, because he has access to it as well. He could go on at any point in time, and this man is checked. 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes, he gone on and seeing what's the issues people having in various communities and everything else, because he did his walkabout. And these are things that are done, but I mean, you don't go publicizing this looking for any praise or anything of the sort.
Yeah.
But we have actually created a country, and the president has done this, right? In most respect, where because the politicians are so accessible and people see that they get resolution, that when one other person doesn't get a resolution, they feel as though they are being discriminated against.
Yeah.
But I told my father this, he's the Minister of Public Works, and the reason people want their road done is because they see other people's road being done. Some people ain't had a road ever in their life, but because, oh yes, my neighbor get in road, or somebody in the community finally get in road, and roads are being done, I should be getting the road before this other person, right? You can't really prioritize who must get road first and who must get road last and these types of things, right? But it's a system that has to be done. But people, because of the successes, it creates more requests, right? As a government apparatus, your reward for doing good work is more demand. 50,000 house lots distributed, but they still got thousands of people waiting, and people are still upset because people see other people getting. I must be able to get as well. If we're increasing the pace, why is mine not delivered to me as yet?
I also would like to see the process where we decide which road gets done. I'll tell you of a very real example. Right now, there's a teacher who has been serving the Linden community for over 30 years, and there's a colonel in Guyana's military who was given almost 40 years of service to Guyana's military. And he lives in a street with the mayor of Linden. Now, the mayor is PNC. Linden is a PNC town. And I say this not because I born and grow in Linden or because I pray with the mayor sometimes. But every single road around that particular road was done, except that road. And I'm not saying that for the mayor or on the mayor's behalf. Note that I told you, there's a teacher that has been teaching for almost
30 years.
Right? And when you given national service to this country, regardless of who live in your street, at the very least.
Do you believe that the street wasn't done because the mayor lives there?
Even if there is another reason, it would be hard to convince me that there is another reason. The reason being, where the street is like a oval, right? And there are many streets in this oval. There are 2 on the end, and there's about 4, 5 cross street. Every one of those streets was done except that street. Now, to be honest with you, I could buy that it didn't do because it was oversight, or we missed it, or there wasn't money. I would buy those reasons. I'm not saying the mayor lived there. What I am telling you though, it's hard to convince me there's another reason beside the mayor living. To the end, because and why I bring it up, if you know the street, the mayor lives at the end. So he ain't ever suffering. He turns off a very good road into his parking space. You know who's suffering?
The other people.
The GDF man with in the GDF for almost 40 years as a colonel. This is not a major, and no disrespect to the lower rank.
Right.
But there aren't 2 other ranks higher than his rank, if I'm correct. So he has given national service to our country for almost 4 decades.
Yeah,
sure.
That is and to me, that is where we show our own political maturity. Like, bro, me really care where you vote. The people in the street suffering.
You know what?
And that road
Jafar,
is one of
do you
the
know
worst roads in the world.
where Norton is from in Linden?
I've never grown.
Do you know where he
lives?
lives? Do you know where he lives in Pleasance?
No.
Well, the reason I asked both of those questions, right? Norton is the leader of the opposition.
That is correct.
Both of those roads, where he come from and where he lives now, were done.
Correct.
Right? So I don't have a belief system that exists, and I can tell you this about several other opposition members of parliament, some of them who have messaged either me or my father. to ask for roads to be done. So I don't know necessarily that it is done for a particular reason. What I would tell you is that the ministry committed to doing all the roads in the region, and the road profile will continue to be done. What I would endeavor to do is to even find out where exactly that road is.
This next thing I was going to do. I would find out
listen,
after here.
The only reason I bring it up, like the guy at GDF is a very, very good brother of mine. Like we pray, like we're Muslim as well, right? And the most times I'm in that street is because of him. And of all the streets that was recently upgraded, that was the worst. So again, it's not difficult to tell me that we ain't had the money or whatever reason might be pro for it. I'm willing to accept, like I told you. However, if all of these roads are bad and then that particular road isn't done, to me, there's just, and again, I ain't saying that is correct.
I understand.
Something seems to be amiss. And then again, there are persons in this country that are having these real experience. I took a lady from Georgetown to Linden to that street. She complaining in my car because of that particular road. And she was like, my son, this is the worst road. And she cared. And I took her, she said, look, they just do all of these roads, the street before, the street after, the street at the side. And we road get left. Why we road get left is because the mayor live there. They would talk to you like that.
Right. Right.
So real,
I didn't make the point earlier that sometimes it's either real or perceived issues.
Yes.
Right. And you don't know. I don't want to potentially make a response to that. I can tell you that I know for sure the opposition leaders, residents, as well as his former residents have been done, especially. And I don't want to necessarily call a whole bunch of other.
I totally get it.
And I'm not looking to defend anybody or anything of the sort. But what I would endeavor to do is to find out where the road is.
Find out. This will be, this will should
because at the end of the day, I want the road done.
Yeah.
Right?
And I like to tell people, like, in a democracy, right? And in one of the things we learn in politics is that sometimes representative democracy could be like representative, not dictatorship, but it's basically like we just looking out for people who vote for us. Sure. And I think some people got that notion about democracy, which is bad because when you are a government, you're not a government for some of the people or the people who vote for you. You're the government for the entire country. Right. And I think that to me is my primary message to persons who are trying to pay attention to politics is that, listen, the government of the day is for everybody. Whether you like them or not, they have to ensure that your livelihood is better. At the bare minimum, they have to ensure that the life you live is a very good and prosperous life. Sure.
All right. Well, time is upon us. John, thank you for coming through. Jafar, thank you for your insight on a lot of these policies and stuff. See you guys next time on Hard Years Podcast.
Yeah.
Yep.